Welcome back to TERF Talk Down Under. I'm Stasia and this is Ange.
Hello, hi Stas.
Dinosaur friend in the background there today.
Yeah, because I'm hoarding some women's rights.
Well, the media attacks on Kath Deves have finally died down.
Yeah, they're still scraping the barrel though. They tried to make an inflammatory article about her brother who lives overseas and pretend that there was animosity between him as an openly gay man who has dressed in drag in the past. They're trying to pretend there's animosity between him and Kath, which is a load of rubbish. I'm going to have a coughing fit. Sorry.
I missed that article. Was that included in? I did. Poor thing. A bit of a cold.
A head cold during the week. Sorry, guys. And I said to Stas, I haven't coughed for like 4 hours. I bet you I get on here and I'll be coughing.
I didn't see that article, but was that included in the one where they were trying to sort of smear Kath for having Sydney gay and lesbian Mardi Gras and wearing racy clothing? Oh.
Yeah, it was after that one, and they're definitely trying to, they're trying to conflate transphobia and homophobia, and they seem desperate, absolutely desperate. And we all know that homophobia and transphobia are totally different things. But the media in Australia, you guys overseas don't have any idea how bad it is. Maybe in Canada, but we have no media apart from a little bit of the right-wing media that will platform any feminist issues at all. And it is a permanent onslaught of pro-trans propaganda, and it's exhausting and it's quite traumatizing to be gaslit to that level.
Yeah. Look, I'm hoping the election results are going to be a wake-up call.
Sorry about the sound. Yeah.
A wake-up call to the woke media and the woke left. I have a feeling it might be. I'm even starting to think that despite everything that's happened to Kath Deves, that she's in with a good chance to win her seat.
If she did, it would be an amazing thing for women's rights in this country.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking of woke media, did you see, where was it? New South Wales, Ashfield Aquatic Centre put on a trans and gender diverse special swimming session. Did you see that?
Yes, and I saw that the way that it was reported was slightly dishonest, because I heard from a little secret person that it wasn't really a very crowded event, right? There weren't that many people there. And when the journalist reported on that event, he said 300 people signed up for the event. He didn't say 300 people attended the event, right? I signed up for that event and I didn't go. So it was really dishonest journalism.
Yeah.
And I saw a few pictures of the event and they weren't these massive crowds, because we all know that most of the people who identify as trans, who are male, identifying as females, are AGPs, and they don't want to go and be around other AGPs. They want to impose on women. So if women had a women-only event, they'd all be at the front protesting, but they get their own event and hardly any of them go.
Yeah, so insulting. In that article from the Sydney Morning Herald, they said something about, there was a lot of backlash online when we announced the event. And it's like, yeah, because you fucking AGPs are destroying women-only swimming sessions meant for Muslim girls and women and Orthodox Jewish girls and women. That's where the backlash is coming from, you idiots.
Mm-hmm.
So insulting. But I just want to read out this little bit. This is my first night getting my new chest out, said Taj, one of the 350 people who signed up for the event. There you go. They had top surgery, a procedure in which trans men or non-binary people have breast tissue removed in December last year. Just no curiosity. Why being non-binary means you have to get your breasts removed? It's not breast tissue, it's the entire breasts removed. I'm just so sick of it. It's gaslighting. So that happened. Just back to Kath for a second. She did attend a Liberal Party rally,
Yeah.
and was criticised for being ushered out by two men and not responding to media questions. Like, it feels very much like they're just looking for any excuse to criticize her. It reminds me of in high school, all the girls turned against one particular girl, and one of the mean girls was like trying to convince me to turn against her as well. And she came up with, have you seen the way she eats yogurt?
Did you go to school with Samantha Maiden?
Oh dear.
No, it's just sad. It's just pathetic. But I mean, how many times can Kath answer the question, are you transphobic?
Yeah.
You know, she said no. She's tried to explain in detail that it's about the conflict between trans rights and women's rights. She said it over and over and over again, and she's still being asked the same inflammatory questions. Of course, she's not going to answer.
She did manage, I think she had an interview with the Daily Telegraph or something.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, and in there she managed to get across, well, Zali Steggall, her opponent in the seat of Warringah, is a bronze Olympic medalist, and she's not able to defend women's right to single-sex sport. So
Yep.
that was great.
Mm.
And she pointed out the obvious, that most Australians agree with her. So look, I'm just looking forward to a tell-all interview where she gets to have her say properly. It's got to happen eventually.
Look, if the worst scenario is that she doesn't win her seat and she, you know, grabs the Save Women's Sport pony and rides that off into the sunset and makes a political lobby group out of that, then that's still really good. I don't think Kath is just going to go away. She has a huge profile now. She has tens of thousands, if not millions, of people who support her. So even if she doesn't win in a specific electorate, because Zali's going to put up a big fight and she was a popular member, I think Kath has changed the narrative here in this country. I'm having conversations now that I couldn't have had even 6 months ago because of Kath Deves.
Yeah.
I'm really indebted to her. I really am. You know, I was talking to my psychologist, and yes, I say psychologist, and he was saying, oh, I was really worried about your activism and the backlash from the public. And I go, mate, you know, like the backlash is nothing. It's from the same men's rights activists who have been giving me backlash my whole life. You know, and even if they did do like a Kath Deves, like, oh, Angela said this horrible thing like 6 months ago, I'd just own it. Yeah. You know, and he said, yeah, you know, I was really worried about you putting your name and face out there publicly, because he's not allowed to, and nobody he works with is allowed to, being in a, you know, a psychology profession, they're not allowed to. And so he's really concerned. And then he was sort of saying, well, you know, it's great. Like, you know, you're more people should do what you're doing and just own it.
Wow, that's
just own your beliefs, because for me, as like a survivor of some nasty shit, the silence and the no platforming and being told I'm wrong when the evidence says I'm right is really freaking traumatizing. Really traumatizing. And for me, it's very important to speak up and speak my mind and say, no, you're going to listen to me. I'm not a liar. You're going to listen. And that's one way that, you know, with this women's rights stuff that I've been able to, you know, almost heal some of my trauma around being disbelieved, being no platformed, you know, because the reason I'm such an angry activist is because most of the things that I talk about on my Twitter or that I've spoken about here have some relation to me in real life. You know, the trans rights stuff does affect me, because they go, oh, how does someone, you know, changing their gender affect you? It affects everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, I think, you know, women are so used to being gaslit. It's sort of water off a duck's back, all this transgender stuff. It's just like, no, not buying it.
Yeah. I've got my kids out of the way, though. Like, you know, I can see why young women who want to have a family or whatever sort of feel like they have to conform more to male approval. that they might not publicly come out in defense of women. I can understand why, but in hindsight, I wish I'd done it 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Because any man worth your salt is going to respect you for standing up for women.
It takes a while, doesn't it, for women to stop giving a shit? What else? There have been a few other developments. The Greens announced their LGBTQIA++ national policy, which included they want to appoint a minister for equality. Now, we all know what kind of equality they're talking about. Fuck everyone else's right to, or desire for equality. It's equality for TQ plus only. Now, it was on Facebook, but I only saw it reported by SBS, and they did quite a long piece on it as well. But that was like the only paper or news outlet that seemed to report on it.
And they're dragging out they drag a trans-identifying person out to talk about how life-changing it will be for them. And that's it. They don't drag out anyone like a gay man talking about the impact of trans rights on gay people or, any of the other letters of the alphabet. It's always some trans-identifying person and how stunning and brave they are.
Yeah. You just reminded me, Dominic Perrottet, the New South Wales Premier, because he was against males playing in women's sport, and he said that he defined woman as a member of the female sex, or however he said it. The frickin' trans activist demanded to meet with him and got a meeting with him. So now there's a bunch of women up in Sydney that are trying to meet with him as well, so that he hears sanity and not just the insane ramblings of the trans activists.
I can imagine them going in there and hopefully it was like Roxy Tickle and some of these public ones. I actually had a run-in on Facebook, Twitter, one of them with like some local Liberal loudmouth, and not Liberal, as Labor sort of Liberal as in politically Liberal, Labor sort of advocate. And in the thread, a trans activist was agreeing with me that safeguarding is needed, but he was saying, I'm just concerned that people won't be able to tell the difference between a man who's newly transitioned and a predatory man because neither of them look convincing. And I'm like, you get it. And this is me having a conversation with a trans identifying woman on a thread full of unfriendly territory, like of these hostile people calling me a TERF. And I could almost see the little thought bubbles of like, oh my God, so they're doing my work for us. But people, the thing was that even though the media aren't talking about it, I've noticed I'm getting deleted less. That in some way I feel that there is a move more towards people speaking out openly at their opinion on this stuff. Good. Just very small. But then again, people are reporting to me that their jobs are being threatened still because they're getting doxxed at work. And
that little story reminded me of there's a Facebook group for that. It's called Tras Unintentionally Reaching the Point.
Oh, I have to join that one. I've got heaps. I don't get a lot of grief from them. I don't get a lot of grief from trans women. I've got a few regulars that I end up running in with. The high profile ones, end up having a bit of a tiff in the comments, and it's like, oh hi Angela, oh hi you, But the abuse and hate and threats have come from heterosexual men's rights activists. The really nasty stuff have come from trans activists who are straight and usually have beards and who are men's rights activists, and they are dangerous and scary. So it's not even so much the AGPs and those. Ugh.
Look, I emailed my federal member of parliament, Mr. Tim Wilson. Gay man, Liberal, so Conservative. I sent him Mr. Menno's latest video. I don't know if you've watched it, but have you seen it, Mr. Menno?
No, but I understand the premise. I'm going to watch it.
So some pair of idiots, both of them porn actors, one a gay man and the other one a trans-identified female who calls herself a gay man, made this freaking video about, what was it called? How to a gay man's guide to giving to pleasuring a pussy.
It was like gay man's guide to eating pussy or something crass like that. I saw that.
Mr. Menno does such a good job with his videos. Anyway, I sent it to, gay man Tim Wilson. Like, how can you possibly support this?
Good. But sometimes I need that slap in the face.
Listen to the response. Tell me when you get bored. I believe in a society where everyone is treated equally and everyone deserves respect. And that means respecting the dignity of all people. And when people don't do that through censorship, I have exactly the same issue. It is not a difficult starting point that we respect all people's common humanity, regardless of how they live their lives. Like, he just doesn't get it, mate. I
think they get it.
These trans activists are completely homophobic. They're dissing you. They're trying to redefine your sexuality, and you're talking about, we need to treat people with dignity and respect. I don't get it.
I pique a lot of people when I tell them that the ABC had to issue that apology for using the word same-sex attracted at Mardi Gras.
I said that. Yeah.
And people like freaking out. And it was really good because now I've got a lot of the old gay bears on my Twitter, which I love because they're my old people. Because, it's just such a shocking thing that at an event like Mardi Gras, same-sex attracted people had to apologise for using the term same-sex attracted because it was transphobic. And this is the national broadcaster. Our tax money funds this agency, and they are completely in the trans Kool-Aid. It is just horrendous.
Yeah.
But I picked heaps of people with that. And I think there is, and that's the thing with social justice stuff. It's usually people who are a bit on the outside themselves that are first to pick up on, the inconsistencies. And I think that this move back to more common sense will be led by gay men and lesbians.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Well, look at our protest. Like, when we went to the union protest, most of the women who came with us and proudly held up banners in a hostile environment were lesbians.
Yeah. I guess, look, I'm comparing us to LGB Alliance UK. And that they've got these old school activists that have been doing it since the 80s. And I had a chat with a gay man about that here in Australia. I'm like, why don't we have these, where are the activists from the 80s? And he said, look, I think sadly a lot of them actually died from the AIDS epidemic.
Mm-hmm. Or they're involved in LGBT orgs. Like a lot of people I know that are really effective activists have positions in LGBT orgs. That's their job.
Yeah.
So they're not going to speak out against their employer.
Yeah. I did hear along the grapevine, there's an organisation in Tasmania, I can't remember what they're called, Working It Out maybe, or something like that. And they're the ones that go into schools and indoctrinate children. And I heard that there was dissent from within. Ooh. And there were like gays and lesbians working there that were angry about being erased. So, I guess it's possible. Time will tell.
I hope so. Well, I've been getting rolled up this morning because Mother's Day in Australia this weekend. It's actually my first Mother's Day without my kids because my kids will be at their dad's this weekend, and I'm actually going hiking in -5 degrees. So, so I'm a bit sad about Mother's Day because, I've had my kids with me forever, and it's their first weekend that they'll be at their dad's. And I've been talking to our former guest Jasmine about the erasure of female language by the Breastfeeding Association, among many others. And it's been really interesting because we were talking about how that's so important to you, for women to be comfortable using female specific language. And with breastfeeding, it's really important for first-time mothers to be able to use female specific language, because it's a huge transition from seeing breasts as sexual organs to as the organs which will sustain your child's life. And a lot of young women particularly are like, oh, you know, breasts are sort of hypersexualized. I don't think I want to breastfeed because it's a bit gross. And I was one of those young women. You know, it just seems a bit gross. But then when you actually do it, it's the most normal thing in the whole world. And you go, how can anyone see this as anything but, you know, food? Yeah, so we were talking about that, and I was just getting really shitty. And I was thinking about how the current narrative about the potential overturning of Roe versus Wade in the US, everyone's saying, oh, yeah, it's the Republicans, it's the right-wingers that are raising women's rights and all this stuff. And the left is complicit, because we can't talk about our own bodies.
Yeah.
I can't say breast, it's chest.
Yeah.
I'm a menstruator and a bleeder. And I've told you all why I hate freaking bleeder.
Yeah.
You know, like, how on earth can people not see that the erasure of, you know, female sex-based language and female reproductive organs has not allowed the erasure of our rights? And it's handed, taking away sex-based language hands our rights to men, because if men can have babies, men can make all the decisions. Men can decide if the wife breastfeeds or not, chest feeds, sorry. So, no, I was doing really right up this morning about the erasure of sex-based language and how that impacts on women in so many ways. Like, we already know that in the medical field that, you know, that there's doctors all over frigging Twitter and Facebook saying, oh, nah, sex isn't real, it's gender that what matters. They're medical doctors, for fuck's sake.
It's so degrading. And, you know, there's that saying, you can tell how far a civilization has come by the way that it treats the women in that society. And when you're pretending that women don't exist, well, that says a lot. It's so offensive. Now, our guests have arrived. We've got two women joining us today.
Two. First time we've had two guests.
Yeah. So,
you're like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah. Yep, it's going to be a Brady Bunch session.
Yeah.
Now, we have Linda and Sue joining us. They were formerly with the Animal Justice Party in Australia. If you can hear us, ladies, just switch on your video and audio.
I did, and it hasn't worked again, even though I tried my settings. I changed my settings.
Oh, Sue, you've muted yourself.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Pardon?
Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Yep.
Just can't see.
Can you send me the link to the meeting and I'll go on my computer?
Where do you want it sent to?
I'll send you my email address.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened here, because I went into settings and worked it all out this morning. Now it's not working again.
Oh, it does it for me all the time, Sue. Don't worry about it. It's a straight quality NBN.
Am I visible?
No.
No, but you're there, but we can't see you.
Can't see me either. Ooh,
Nope.
I didn't have this trouble last night, so I don't know what's happened today.
So are you okay if we're not visible? Or would you prefer us to try and get the camera?
We'd like to see you.
Oh, there I am. There I am.
Oh, there's Sue.
Hello. Oh, hello, Sue. Hello, Nathia. Hello, Angie.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, you've had a rough time with the Animal Justice Party. Who would like to start? Give us the lowdown. What's happened?
Okay, I might start because it really did. It was my one post that started the pylon. And that basically was a post on my private page, not on my candidate's page. And that was an article, Boys versus Women. And I posted that on the 5th of April. And that's when, you know, every radio station, if you tuned in, they were talking about Catherine Deves. every TV program was discussing it. My personal page, I put up boys versus girls, women, sorry, and it was the swim times of American college boys versus the American women's Olympic times. So I thought that article said it all. And I thought people would read that and be interested. But 87 comments later, 2 days of being hammered, that then went private for another 3 days, it was unbelievable. The rage, and people saying trans women are women, and say it, Linda, trans women are women. So I had to sort of push back and say, well, I don't believe they are. I believe trans women, but they are not biological women. So then this young man took exception, then went and was private messaging me for 3 days solid. In the end, I just stopped responding. And he was basically throwing a tantrum, demanding that I say that trans women are women. Even though I went through all my experiences. I'm a grandmother. You know, I was born female. I went through female puberty. I had 3 pregnancies, 3 births, breastfed 3 children, have been through menopause, have had a partial mastectomy. I'm sorry, I know what a woman is. And this young 20-odd-year-old male is jumping up and down telling me that I am wrong. I was furious. So then I thought, I'm not going to stop because of this pylon. So then I did I did 3 quick posts, but the Animal Justice Party took exception to one on the 6th and one on the 7th. And basically they were both shared from the Coalition for the Biological, for Biological Reality. So that's where I got into trouble. And poor Sue may want to say what she did so wrong.
I hadn't even heard, because I was fairly new to this. Linda had mentioned to me probably late last year about some of the concerns, and we got AGP approval as candidates to go to the IWD Brisbane Meanjin meeting, which we met you, Angie.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so that was the first time I really had heard anything about this issue. So by the time Linda shared the articles, because I was interested, and it was done on her personal page before the election was called, I just liked the Age article and the Sky News article because I didn't even know who the biological, what was it? Coalition
for Biological Reality.
So I didn't even know about that page. So I now follow it. And I really like it. But at the time I didn't know. I was still learning. And the articles just, to me, were common sense, and it wasn't being transphobic. It was discussing this issue in a rational way. I was then called into a committee meeting along with Linda. We were both in trouble for being transphobic and bigoted. And at first I was called in, there were complaints, and I said, I had no idea what they were talking about. And I said, because I've got a union background, and I just said, you can't call someone into a meeting unless they're aware about what the meeting is about. And I also said, if there are screenshots, I'd like to see those before I go into a meeting. So they sent me 2 screenshots of just my thumbs up emoji to these articles, not even attached to any articles. And I didn't even know what they were. What I had liked, I had to work that out. And that was my offence. And they've continued to say basically that I've made transphobic comments.
You made no comments at all.
I had never even shared an article or made a comment on social media about it. I was still learning. But I could see the common sense in what was being said and acknowledging the experiences that women spoke about at that meeting. So, but I was shut down and basically told you can't think.
It was so funny, Angie, because when you came up to us and introduced yourself, and I was quite excited because I said, I watched to talk down under, and then you said that you had previously voted for the Animal Justice Party but wouldn't because of Andy Meddick's stance. And I said, oh, we don't have a policy or position on this, and I'll take your feedback to the party. 3 weeks out from the election, Andy goes in even harder, and they've released, their statement. And of course, that was why they said we were going against the core values of the party.
See, sorry,
what was the statement that Andy Meddick has released?
Well, it wasn't just his. It was the party that released it.
It's a position. They've actually now formulated a position, and they put it up on their page in the middle of an election. So they've actually made it an election platform.
And to me, it was a dog whistle to the trans community. And also the reason we were called in is because, and this is in front of the committee, I was told that Victorian volunteers are tearing up their how to vote cards because of my posts.
Oh, come on.
And isn't that a tad dramatic? Just a tad dramatic.
Just for background, we're talking about the Animal Justice Party. Can you let our viewers know what the main platform of the Animal Justice Party is? And we're 3 weeks out from an election here, and the Animal Justice Party is a minor party that is an increasing profile based mostly on animal rights.
Yes,
so can you
animals and the environment?
So can you just fill them in what their primary purpose is and how transgender rights comes into it?
Well, the party was started 10 years ago in response to the kangaroo cull and the fact that there were no political parties that actually stood up and were a voice for animals. So when it was set up, it's over 10 years ago now, that has always been their platform. And they've stuck to it because they have policies on animals and the environment and positions on human issues. And we're always told we only focus on animals and the environment or nature, and that not to focus on human issues. And even with this issue, we were told start focusing on animals, even though we were just curious as individuals. We weren't allowed to even, it was just ridiculous. And even with the statement that they put out, they said that we'd gone against their core values of kindness, equality, rationality and non-violence, making out that they had already had a position, which they didn't. They didn't have a position until the 21st of April. So they even misled the public trying to make out that as candidates, we had gone against their core values.
Intentionally, yes, exactly.
Retroactively.
Yes, it's really been driven by Andy Meddick of Victoria. He really wanted us gone. They're sort of claiming now that we agreed to resign, which we didn't. We resigned because we could not be in a party that took that stance, and also for the way that we were treated. There was no procedural fairness or natural justice. They denied us everything.
And, they actually, sorry.
No, you go, Linda.
Yeah, we had the meeting and then we said maybe it's some type of compromise. Because we have our own values. So we released to the public, or if anyone was critical, they'd release a statement to these people, whoever. And then they went away and basically threw us under the bus. And then they came back to us and said that we each had to make a public apology and we had to undertake gender training.
Oh, God.
So we said no.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
And for the record, 3 weeks after the Victorian state election, Andy Meddick chose that time to announce that one of his children was trans, and then a couple of months later, his other child. Both of his children said trans identifying. But he deliberately chose 3 weeks after the election.
Yes.
And the thing that gets me is that 85% of supporters of Animal Justice Party are women. And the reason more women are vegan or vegetarian and interested in animal rights is because they understand the parallels between animal husbandry,
and the treatment of women,
reproductive husbandry of women, the treatment of women. They get the parallels. I've been vegetarian since I was 21 and vegan for about 5 years because for me, politically, I can't escape the oppression of animals and the oppression of women.
I started the Women Against Dairy campaign for that reason.
The way he's gone about this is just, and also irked me that he is a male figurehead for a party that is predominantly fueled by females.
And Angie, at the meeting, that's what I was saying. I said the majority of the party are women. Yep. And also I felt exploited as well, because they were promoting us as a party with the majority of women candidates. So, you know, they're to parade us out there, spruiking that, you know, women at the forefront, vote women in, which I was even doing. To you, I think, I said, you know, we don't have a position or a policy, but, you know, vote women in and then you can lobby us and we'd be more sympathetic. But exactly, but when we just...
And also, we didn't seek candidacy. They approached us.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
You know, some people have made comments that, you know, we love the limelight. We didn't seek candidacy. We were very reluctant to become candidates. We did it to raise the profile of the party, which didn't have this issue in it when we said yes to be a candidate. They introduced it while we were candidates, didn't tell us it was coming.
And didn't... Sorry.
No, that's fine.
And didn't, during the interview, ask us our position on this issue. It wasn't relevant. We were asked about how long we were a vegan, about our animal activism background, and that was basically it.
And they did know us because being animal activists, we had mixed, you know, like Animal Liberation Queensland, AGP. So as activists, we had got to know them and respected them.
Yes.
And so we really, you know, we held them in high esteem, and this has all really shocked us. But the more that this has gone on, the more we've heard how anti-medic has driven it.
Yes.
And even the harsh statement that they put up, which was completely untrue, apparently Andy wanted to go in even harder. And I'm thinking, how could you go in any harder with all these mistruths?
But even on his page, he wraps himself in the trans flag.
Yeah.
Whereas I cannot put a post up from The Age on my personal page.
Yeah.
And he also, there's a photo of Andy standing next to Danny, the coach, I forgot.
Old mate Danny Laidley. Danny Hager.
Yeah. And what politician would do that?
Well, Danny Laidley is a convicted DV offender.
That's what I'm saying.
Who's transed his crimes away. So,
but how can you do that? Allow that to be on his page, but a few articles that I've shared, you know, we're hauled in front of the committee.
Yeah.
So Andy Medic, he's an upper house member for Victoria. Is that right? Have I got that right?
I thought he was lower house.
Lower house. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well done to him.
Yeah. The Greens have made the same mistake where if you're on a Greens page, every time they post something about trans stuff, a whole bunch of Greens members are saying, get back to the environment, leave identity politics out of it, get back to the environment, leave identity politics out of it. And you would think a smaller party who is to the left, as the Greens are, that would be watching this play out and go, hey, if we go hard on animals and the environment, we'll get all these disinterested, Greens voters who have been alienated on social justice, and we can embrace them and give them a party to vote for. Anyone with half a brain would be thinking that.
Exactly. And also at the meeting, prior to the meeting, I had so many people that messaged me privately to say, I totally agree with you, Linda. So instead of putting their names down, I put their initials. I read out all the initials, and there was one man who actually was quite happy for me to name him, and he said, let them know that if they adopt this agenda and take the focus off the animals, they will lose members. So told them that. And as it is, people are leaving now. I've just had people sort of message me and say that, message me to say that they've resigned from the party.
Because we were subjected to a lot of abuse because there were these trolls that actually started going on Linda's page.
I saw some of those. Yeah, screenshot them. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
and
nasty.
and then what they did, because they lodged complaints with the AGP, and then one of them tagged both Linda and myself into a post calling us transphobic with other derogatory labels, and that's when, because I had resigned on the 21st of April, but was asked to come to the meeting because they wanted me to continue, as a candidate. And then I agreed for the 4 weeks because it was 4 weeks out at the time. But then when we were being tagged and attacked, and because the AJP had crucified us, I said to the convener, that's it, I'm resigning. And then they went on to this Trolls page.
Yes.
And put up this statement full of lies. What political party goes onto a Trolls page? And then
duplicate them. Yeah.
Yeah. And and in their response, and then I said, because they said we agreed to resign, and I just saw red and I thought, don't lie when we were not even asked to resign. In fact, even that, I think it was the Wednesday when I rang up to resign, and I was told, oh, but we'd still like to work with you. And I went, work? How? You undergo gender training. And I went, forget it. This is just ridiculous. But to go onto a Trolls page, and when I said how I resigned, someone said, doesn't matter how you get rid of the trash so long as it's gone. And even people within the AJP went onto that page and were lodging the comment.
Yes.
And this isn't a political party. They should have, we told them at the committee meeting, because of this handful of trolls, that they wouldn't go away. They were Green supporters. And if you continue on like this, just let it die down, because it's going to inflame and it's going to fall, it's going to be negative for you. But they didn't listen to us.
Not at all. Not at all.
And then I guess they expected us to be quiet, but because of the statement they put out, they had defamed us. And because I was not going to say anything about this issue, I was going to let the election go by. I was going to then resign from the party.
Yes.
And, but when they defamed us, I thought, they've ruined our reputation. And I thought, I can't sit back and watch that. And that's why we've come out, is because of what they've done to us and our reputation, and it's all based on lies.
Has there been interest from the media about your story? Because I'm pretty sure that, because I'm pretty sure 3 weeks out from an election, if someone resigned from the other parties, it would be in the news.
Yes, so well, I had a local journalist contact me yesterday. He had done a story on me when I first became a candidate, and so he rang me yesterday to see, how I was travelling. And I was in a coffee shop, and I said, oh, well, actually, I've resigned. And I said, look, I'm about to go home. How about we have a chat then? He was so sympathetic. Absolutely. He said, no, you're right. It's a freedom of speech issue as well. So I had to send him all the articles that I'd posted, some of the abuse that I had from the trolls. So I haven't heard back from him as yet, but he was going to put a story together. It's an online paper and also radio. So hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, and the strange thing is, these ones, the trolls, they're still bagging the AJP. So the fact that we've left have not stopped their hate for the AJP.
And also, we did offer, I mean, you resigned or offered to resign, didn't you, Sue? And then I did.
Offered to resign, I resigned.
No, that's right. But initially, didn't you?
I resigned both times.
Yes, yes. Well, the first time when I was at the meeting, I said, well, it's probably best for me to resign. And they said, no, please stay, basically. And I said, well, I'd be a paper candidate. And they said, oh, no, we want you to be an active candidate. So we thought that then, we would be able to work with them. And then, within, a day, we get the demand that we've got to do a public apology and undertake gender training. So that's when, I just said, well, no.
Gender training. I'd love to sit through that gender training.
Oh, I know. Indoctrination.
Indoctrination. Yeah.
I reckon it takes more people than it, helps to understand it. Like, I think most people sit through that and go, this is ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy.
They need to do gender training. Because, it just, it's just ridiculous, you know. And to say we go against their core values, they're saying we're unkind, we don't believe in equality, we're irrational, and we're violent. So, you know, we're
in our 60s. We're all that in our 60s.
See, that's it. You know, we get dissed for being irrelevant old ladies, and then on the other hand, we get, you know, they're dangerous. They're, you know, they hurt us, and it's like, well, which one are we? Are we harmless? And you know,
I couldn't understand that when they were saying about all these young people tearing up the how to vote cards from a couple of posts from a grandma in her 60s up in Queensland. I mean, really?
It was the sharing of the articles. So from Sky News and from The Age.
Yes.
So if they were so inappropriate, why are they on social media? Are they saying that The Age and Sky News, you know, I get
a lot of shit because I was on Sky News a few weeks ago on Rita's show, right?
I saw you.
And because I'm a lefty, I've been copying heaps of crap. But every single like anarchist and radical that's had a go at me, watch the clip. What are you doing on Sky News? Watching the clip. I only appeared on it. You know?
The Sky News have been really good in representing this issue. It's been balanced. And where other media outlets aren't, but even The Age, you know, having this discussion, but the AGP is trying to silence. We're not even definitely think about it, and you just think that's not a party that I will support.
No, and also to mouth their words, not to have our own thoughts, as a party promoting women as candidates.
And just recently, Andy Medic, he announced that he secured funding for 14 locations for safe places for LGBTIQ. So that was just recently. So securing safe places for them while saying no women. We need
homelessness for women is at an all-time high. So.
Exactly, and older women as well. But sorry,
I have a question for both of you. You don't have to answer it, but who are you going to vote for?
I know, it's hard. I remember when we were at the IWD BM gathering, and all the women there were saying, we're politically homeless. Well, now we are politically homeless.
It's a hard one.
Hard, very hard. Yeah,
we haven't got. It's only 2 weeks now until the election. 2 weeks tomorrow. So it's a difficult one, but I can't vote for the Greens because of this issue.
I don't trust Labor either.
If I was in council, I'd know who I would vote for. Angela Egan up there. She's an independent.
Oh, you've just muted.
So do you have any suggestions for us?
No.
Friends in the UK are actually not voting. They're writing nasty slogans on their ballots, but it just doesn't sit with me either.
I agree. I did say that when we went for our dinner to celebrate that maybe the women's symbol, but again, we fought for the rights to vote, you know, so that would just go against my beliefs as well. So it is a difficult one.
Really, it's been a very difficult time, but we were not going to be pushed around and silenced. And we didn't think when we were at the meeting in March at IWD that because we were horrified by women and the experiences that they had, and we had no idea that a couple of months later for Linda sharing a couple of news articles and me just liking the news articles, that I would find myself in this position and be crucified by the party that asked me to run.
I hate to tell you, but I had an idea you would be, because you were actually at that meeting.
Well, we got permission. And we got permission, and I did put it up on my candidates page, and it was a photo of myself, Sue Webber, and Kaz Patch, and her friend. I can't remember her name, but I didn't show the JK Rowling picture. So I was being quite balanced there. But listening to Patch speak, you know, I was just horrified. And I've actually messaged her as well, and I said, little did I know the abuse that you copped for speaking up because you didn't want to play alongside, a trans woman in the roller derby. Little did I know, within a month, and I've had it, it's still going. It's 4 weeks of utter, just full-on attacks and just piling on. It's just ridiculous.
I've seen it. I've seen it on a random post with a friend who's politically, on the left or whatever. And I saw someone talking about the Animal Justice Party and how all the transphobes are in there. And I'm like, if I'm just coming across that in just my normal Facebook life, it must be pretty huge. Now, have you guys issued a press release or anything that we can share telling your side of the story?
Well, we did with IWD Meanjin. Yes. If they'd like to share that, because we did do that.
That's right, the other day.
My whole story I've got up on my Facebook page. It's very, very long.
And
I admitted that it was a lengthy post, but because of what happened to us and there were well-known people within animal rights that led the attack, and even people there within the AGP on that trolls page coming in. One of the ones that is one of the heads of an animal rights group well known in Brisbane said that they're bigots disguised under feminism, and one of the ones that have been long-term Animal Justice Party, she was coming in, feeding off the energy of the trolls, sticking the knife into us, and we've found that a few women in the AJP, it's just been foul. Just really, they're very, very nasty.
It amazes me, like they sort of do our job for us. They peak trans women and men by engaging in this like abuse of women. It's ludicrous.
Yes, and what I've been doing, my page is private, but every few days or every day I change my profile pic and my cover, and then people come in and they start arguing. But to me, at least the subject's been discussed. And a lot of the people who are anti me or the post, they're doing the job because they're showing how vile they are, how aggressive they are, how intolerant they are. So every few days I'm just changing things up, and then I let people go in and, have a little bit of an argy-bargy. But at least, the subject's being discussed. It's out there. And it's giving permission for other people to say, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Even one of the trolls said that we had set feminism back 200 years.
Mate, that's so long.
Comment to you. We'd become, what was it?
Talking vaginas. I know. I left the thread at that stage when another AJP woman, the same age as myself, a grandmother, loved that comment to me. I thought, well, that says it all, so I'm leaving.
It's
in my head. Sorry.
It's just so Orwellian and backwards.
Isn't it?
Upside down. I'm like, oh.
I'm not going to be able to separate AJP and AGP in my head now, because every time you say AGP, I'm thinking AGP, and now they're actually the
You're
same.
right, because last night I was speaking to Sue, and I said AGP, and she went, "You mean J?" I said, "No, Sue, you're the gynophiles." And so we could maybe call them the AGP party now.
Medic Sons are what? Sorry?
I reckon there's a meme to be made out of all.
Yes.
And Medic's trans-identifying son is an AGP. They were in trouble with the police for, and they're abusive. Like, they had to shut all their social media down because when they were in the media recently for some, I don't know, there was a violent incident where Andy Medic's son was spray painting and someone threw a can at him and hit him in the head, and he got to hospital and he was crying, "Oh, poor me, it's because I'm transgender." And it turned out that there was an altercation and he was like the aggressor and all this stuff. But if you looked at his Facebook or his Twitter, it was horrifying. Threats of violence towards women, threats of, just degrading things about women, like all the cliches of the angry AGP, horrible person.
Really?
And so that's why he had to take all his social media down. And his dad didn't say anything about that.
That's disgusting.
It was disgusting. The things he was saying about women.
Really?
About TERFs.
Oh my God.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time. I did have one more question. Did the Animal Justice Party like pay for promotional materials for you two, or like was that already out there?
Yes.
Circulate?
Yes. It was just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous why they rose to the bait, basically, of the Green supporters that were coming in. And one of the supporters, she has had she's had a history with me because her partner is an alleged rapist, and she asked me if he could attend a Women Against Dairy rally, and I said no. So I even told them it was personal as well as political, but they still wouldn't listen because I'm a woman.
And we did warn the AGP not to fall into the hands of these trolls, that it was dangerous, just to keep quiet. And they went for it. They just decided, no, they would make an example of us and blame us for everything. And that is what has shocked me the most, is coming out with statements that are completely untrue, and they can be proven to be untrue as well. So I don't know, they must have thought we would shut up, because, you know, when someone wants you to shut up, they go, oh, what about the animals? You know, so it's sort of like, not that they said that, but that's sort of like emotional blackmail. Oh, don't do that because of the animals. And then you think, well, what do I do? Do I compromise myself and let them defame me?
Yeah.
So, and it would have just gone away. The election would have happened. We would have left the party, and none of this would have happened. And they like to blame us, but they're the ones that put the red flag up, not us.
Well, they were played by the trolls, and they were also the agenda is being driven by Andy Medic. And we were told that from basically the head said that she was getting constant phone calls from Andy Medic. Are they gone yet? Are they gone yet?
Oh God.
Yes.
So it's his party.
Andy Medic party.
It's the trans party. The trans party, Trans Justice Party.
I found him very narcissistic, actually. The few interactions I've had with him, I found him very controlling and narcissistic and a bit misogynistic, in that he just depends on all the women around him to do all the work, and he's just the mouthpiece, really.
Really?
The women that are out there doing hard yards.
I really liked him up until recently, but he's done some really good things for animals, and you can't take that away from him. But he's just decided that this party is his, and it will take a direction he wants it to go. And that's been a big mistake. They should have said to him, look, focus on the animals and the environment. But he's just gone with this trans agenda, which really isn't representative of the trans movement, because there's so many women that agree with us. And it's an agenda. Because he's got 2 transgender children.
Exactly.
And he wants the world to change to, you know, allow his kids to do whatever they want while taking away the rights of all biological women. And biological women that have fallen for it.
Yeah, and also the fact that, you know, Big Pharma is behind the trans movement. Surely, surely a party that supports the environment and animals would be aware of the elephant in the room.
Exactly.
That Big Pharma trans, the medical pathway, the drugs, the pharmaceutical companies involved in the trans thing.
Yes.
It's the opposite of
it's the opposite to preserving nature. And the order of nature. That's right. Yes.
So what do they represent now? It's certainly not nature. It's certainly not equality. You know, they can't have a broad range of equality because they've chosen not to represent women. But we need the training, not them. So anyway, we're gone now. We're not unhappy about leaving. So
welcome
for them.
Welcome to the council women. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, better wrap it up there. So thank you so much, Linda and Sue.
Thank you, Stacia.
We'll look out for those any news articles that you manage to get published. Let us know. Message me if you can.
Sorry. Anna would like us to remind everyone about the protest
Oh,
on
yeah.
the 28th of May against sex self-ID. So we're having a little bit of a rally and a few people are speaking. Yes, and that's on the 28th of May in Brisbane.
Yeah, so it's going to be good.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'll put
Yeah.
a link to Anna's page in the description.
Oh, good.
Just reach out to Anna if you want to attend a sort of speaker's corner on this.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Great. All right. Thanks so much,
Thank
ladies.
you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Ta-da.
Bye.
Bye.
Just get you to click leave.
Leave. There. Okay, bye.
Okay.
God, that was hard because of my internet. I mean, everyone was talking over each other and I was having trouble concentrating.
That's the first time we've had two guests at once.
Yes.
Oh, what a story. It's just bizarre that people like Andy Medic really think that this is an election winner for them. It's mental.
I just can't believe. I mean, we know that they're economically captured, that the political parties and the media and everyone are economically captured by the ACON and the AWEI. We all know the reason that they're all crazily promoting the pro-trans stuff, but that doesn't make the gaslighting any easier. And to see women with a wealth of experience that would be genuinely fantastic political candidates, women who would be overlooked by many of the major parties because they're normal women, you know, to see them cast aside for this ridiculous gaslighting agenda is really hard. It's really hard for me to see because, you know, I'm almost like we're around the same age. I'm in my 50s. And, you know, women of our age are cast aside for much lesser things than that. So to see women given a platform like that and then have it pulled away from them over this ridiculous agenda is heartbreaking. It really is, because older women need a voice.
Absolutely.
We do. And so do our pets.
Well, look, you know, maybe, is it every 3 or 4 years that we have a federal election?
I think it's 4.
Is it? Yeah, thanks. Sorry. Maybe in 4 years' time, we'll be able to get some sort of actual political party up and running to represent biological reality here in this country.
Kath Deves, we're looking at you. Come on, Kath. If the Libs don't get you in. Yeah.
At the same time, now that I've said that, you know, maybe we won't need it in 4 years' time. Maybe, you know, things will have settled down. Trans and kids will have been properly exposed here in this country, and we will have come to our senses. We'll wait and see. We'd better wrap it up there. So I'd like to do a shout out to Beth Rep to get in touch, message us. We want to have you on. And any final words, Ange?
Oh, look, you know, so much has been happening, but I think we're incrementally making very slow progress. More and more women are speaking up, and, you know, women are being prepared to suffer the consequences of speaking up. A lot of blokes are also starting to speak up. So I think slowly, you know, we're making some progress, but anyone who can speak up really needs to do so now. You know, we can't keep relying on a few to carry the weight of everybody else. And, you know, the more people that speak up, the less likely we are to be cancelled. But we, you know, we've only got, like, we're stuck here on 950 followers on this little YouTube channel, right? And I know that we're not, you know, like, we're just a couple of normal people, but everyone, I get so much feedback that what we're saying really resonates. And yet here we are stuck on 950 followers.
We're nearly 1,000 people, so don't forget to share.
Yeah, and so we have no other voice here in Australia. You know, we get a little bit in the Australian newspaper. I got a letter into the Australian the other day. You know, we get a little bit here and a little bit there, but really the overwhelming voice in the media is pro-trans. So anything you can do to platform the few women in Australia who are gender critical, and that's why I was asking that the AGP ladies, the Animal Justice Party ladies, if they have a press release, because later on today at peak Twitter time, which is around 8 p.m, I'm going to talk about this and tag the Animal Justice Party and promote discussion about this issue, because the mainstream media aren't going to cover it unless Bernard Lane does. And he's got so many other issues to cover.
Or Clarissa Bai.
Yeah.
She's done a couple of articles this week. She's but actually Bernard Lane tweeted about how the Labor Party has removed the words women and mother from their section about what was it, sexual and reproductive health. So access to abortion, they're referring to women as individuals rather than women. So Bernard Lane tweeted about that, and Clarissa Bai from the Daily Telegraph picked up on it. She did a story on that today, which was great.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Clarissa Bai also did an article this week about freaking childcare centres running instead of, they've cancelled Mother's Day and they're calling it Parents' Day or Parents and Carers Day. Like, just nonsense like that. Like, the more that's exposed, the more Australians look at that and go, that's fucking stupid.
Well, I'm a single parent and I gave my children $5 a week, $5 the other day, piss off, $5 the other day to pay for the only present that I will get, because the school has a Mother's Day stall.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of mothers out there who are not being acknowledged in any way. And the only way they can be acknowledged is if schools and childcare send a little card or a present or whatever that acknowledges their role as a mother. That stuff's really important, particularly for single parents, because everyone is a parent undermines the role of the mother, particularly single mothers. It completely undermines it.
Yeah.
You know, that's like this whole thing about women's rights being given away to men, because taking the female specific language out basically hands it over to males.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want men celebrating Father's Day on Mother's Day. I just don't.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't celebrate Father's Day. I'm a single mum. I don't go, oh, I'm a father as well. I don't do that. People do, but I don't. And I never would, because a father has a very specific role too. And I wouldn't do that to somebody.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm going to have another coughing fit.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there that are watching TERF Talk. Please subscribe, share, like, and we will see you again next Friday, maybe Thursday.
Everybody for watching, and thanks. Sorry about me coughing and spluttering. I'm going hiking this week because my kids won't be there, so I'm going hiking in the wilderness. So hopefully I'll be back next week.
We hope so. Don't get lost. Take it.
I'll try not to.
All right. See you, everyone.
Bye.